The Bears start interviewing prospects, and Caleb Williams speaks publicly for the first time in a very long time. We break that all down on the Unbearable Sports Podcast next. But first, make sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss one of our Combine updates. But what is going on? No live show tonight. It is my wife's birthday, and right now she's putting down the kids, so I'm trying to squeak in quick little show before the end of the night. But let's just kind of break down what is going on at the Combine today and just some of the news that you may have missed. So tomorrow, drills start. So I am so excited for that. Combine starts at 2 p.m. and the defensive linemen, D tackles, D ends, linebackers will all be out there. Now remember our players to watch that we discussed on our show the other day. We have Byron Murphy from the Texas Longhorns, T'Vondre Sweat, who said today that he's going to get people looking like this, and he opened his eyes up and was in awe. I am so excited to see T'Vondre Sweat. I think a lot of people are going to be talking about him because he is a freak of nature athletically. He has incredible bursts, and I absolutely love him, especially if he's going in the third. T'Vondre Sweat is super, super good and talented at the defensive tackle. The question is his weight and his overall size. But also let me know who you are looking forward to seeing tomorrow, if there's any defensive tackles, linebackers, or defensive ends. But the other three people, Braden Fisk out of Florida and Michael Hall Jr., very fast, quick defensive tackles that I think can really kind of turn a lot of heads at the Combine. And Dwayne Carter from the Duke Blue Devils is someone to watch out for. And just at the defensive end spot, Latu, Chop Robinson, who claims he'll run a 4.40 and jump 38 inches. So I am excited. I think he's going to put on an absolute show. And Darius Robinson, defensive end from the Missouri Tigers. But also, last but not least, linebackers. We don't really need linebackers, so these are defensive ends playing linebackers. Chris Braswell, Dallas Turner, and Zion Tuapoloa Fatui, the defensive end out of the Washington Huskies, who actually said today that you don't stop Caleb Williams, you just slow him down, which I thought was a pretty cool interview that he had, because today was all about the interviews with the players rather than just the coaches and the GMs. Now, I don't have a lot of the different sound bites from some of those interviews, but also in the behind closed doors interviews that are going on, some of the names that I kind of picked out on Twitter. Dylan Laube, the running back out of New Hampshire, who, if you haven't seen his tape, it's good. He's just the standard, coming from a small school, has a lot of potential. But then also the Bears were looking at defensive ends, which is really telling because I know a lot of us want them to go the defensive end route in the draft rather than paying kind of the 20 plus for a Danielle Hunter. They were looking at Latu, Jared Verse, and also Darius Robinson, who is quickly becoming one of my favorites that you could potentially get later on in the second. So if you can trade back that 9 pick, depending on who's there, and land a Darius Robinson, and I know a lot of us want Jackson Powers Johnson, that is something they might be able to pull off if they're able to get a high enough second-round pick for Darius Robinson. But right now, the dude is just soaring up draft boards. But if there's anyone that you really want the Bears to draft, let me know down below in the comments. And then the last people that they were interviewing, Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, and Drake Maye. So they're going to interview every single quarterback that's out there. He's paid to do his due diligence. Ryan Poles is going to talk to all of them and discuss what the Chicago Bears are all about. So they also want to make sure that they can play that quarterback position mentally. And we've heard this before, that it's not just a talent. And now the rumor is, I believe it was Brad Biggs that reported this. It was one of the insiders for the Chicago Bears, about how Caleb Williams has checked the boxes from an attribute perspective, like a talent perspective, but it's all about the player. And now there's a bunch of different Ryan Poles interviews out there. He's talked everywhere, basically, and I believe it was on ESPN 1000. I was listening to him, and he was saying that if it's the right person, yeah, they know that that is the quarterback that we want to go with. So let's actually talk about Caleb Williams, that potential quarterback that they would be drafting at number 1. And he, like I mentioned, had his first kind of public discussion, public interview, and then was quoted. So he wasn't on stage, but tomorrow I think it's on Friday, he's going to be on stage. So when he was interviewed by Pete Thamel of ESPN, here's just a giant kind of combined quote of what happened there. Williams said he has been to Chicago once, has heard good things about the rowdiness of Bears fans, and has gone down video rabbit holes studying both Jordan and Peyton, two of the city's most iconic athletes. He said, "I'm 22. I didn't really get to see those players. As the saying goes, the legends live on. That's my goal of playing football. It's not money. It's not fame. It's to be immortal. I want to reach that sense of being a legend, being at the table, and having a rightful seat through hard work and energy and time I've put into the game that we all love. It's appealing to be in a city like that with legends that you've looked up to. Reach for the standard they set and try to do anything to get there." So that is so cool. Like, first off, no matter who that is an amazing way to phrase things, and it just gets the goosebumps going a little bit. Now, let me know what you think down below. Are you just like rolling your eyes at this, or are you excited? Because this, to me, gets me excited about Caleb Williams and gets me excited about what could be. Because there's all the rumors about Caleb Williams not wanting to be a Chicago Bear, and I think that he's really kind of dispelling this. And I did see some people on the other side saying, well, hey, he's just saying this because the Bears might not trade the pick and he just wants to be happy with it. I think truly, like, my personal take on this is it makes sense. Caleb Williams is someone that it's not about the money. And this is a new wave of quarterbacks. And I forgot who said, it might have been Peter Schrager, said that this is the first NIL quarterback that we've seen come out in the draft, where he's already making millions in college, and now he's coming out and he's making more money, but he already has the business side down, and he's been preparing for this for a lot longer than other quarterbacks that were inside of college. And I think that's kind of the cool part about this, is that he really wants to take the reins and really be that guy, which is exactly what we need. Now, the question that I want to know a little bit about his height and weight, because that is a big question mark in my opinion, because typically you don't see shorter quarterbacks succeed. And we've talked about this before with the idea of looking down the middle of the field. Now, I also saw a stat that the two quarterbacks that have the lowest completion or attempts in the middle of the field in college have been Jayden Daniels and guess who? Justin Fields, actually, from Ohio State. So it does kind of show that it's difficult to kind of translate that if you didn't do that in the college game to the NFL. But Caleb Williams overall, it's really starting to feel like something is going to happen. I already heard some people saying it's going to be sooner rather than later, but I ultimately feel that no matter what happens, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen the next day. And this, you might be able to quote me on this if it ends up happening, but I do think that they need multiple days just to make sure that Caleb is the guy. And they're sitting down and interviewing him right now, but I still feel like there needs to be business discussions and a lot more. And I don't think anything's going to happen until like a week or so. But free agency is right around the corner, which is awfully exciting. But let's go through one last little headline, and then we can kind of close things off. So speaking of Caleb Williams, he did get a new dose of hate, I guess, today from Keyshawn Johnson. Let's take a listen. Now, that was Keyshawn Johnson, obviously talking about kind of the Lincoln Riley quarterbacks. And I actually tweeted this out because I thought it was kind of funny. Because when you look at what the Lincoln Riley quarterbacks have done, Lincoln Riley has had a total of 5 quarterbacks that have been starting for him from his OU days. Baker Mayfield, who's been a starting quarterback in the NFL, Kyler Murray, who's been a starting quarterback in the NFL, and Jalen Hurts, who's been a starting quarterback in the NFL. Also, Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl. So I just want to throw that out there. But I get where he's coming from at the same sense, where he's saying you need someone that lifts all ships, that is not just because now you look at what's going on right now. There's questions about Jalen Hurts just being a system guy. And I will say, when you look at the different quarterbacks that are out there, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts, I remember watching Jalen Hurts going, this guy only goes to his first read. I didn't see the playmaking ability like the going to the second read as much as a Kyler Murray or a Baker Mayfield. Jalen was purely a first read guy. I had him as a second round grade because I'm like, yeah, this guy's literally just going to one person. So I understand that. I get where he's coming from with it, but it's kind of just ironic when it's like, well, what have they created? Well, they created 3 starting quarterbacks in the NFL out of that system. Now, Baker is kind of the caveat, all of a sudden kind of had this resurgence, but it does seem like Caleb is different because he does go through his progressions a lot more. When I've said Jalen Hurts, not so much. Baker, though, if you do put on Baker tape, it does remind you a lot of Caleb Williams. But I'd say the biggest difference between those two is that with Caleb Williams, he's looking downfield. I didn't realize how much like Baker Mayfield was trying to run, or even like I know some people give the Johnny Manziel comp of Caleb Williams. But Caleb Williams is trying to throw the football, is trying to dissect the defense in front of him. So I thought that was just a very interesting quote that I wanted to just bring up to you guys. Do you think Keyshawn has a point? Because I see it, but to me, it's still a quarterback. I want someone that can throw. I want someone that can be a gamer. And what we see is that when you have a person like a Josh Allen that had the worst accuracy that I've ever scouted, and all of a sudden he gains this accuracy and becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Lamar Jackson couldn't win from the pocket in college. Miraculously learns and develops how to get that in the pocket game. What I'm trying to say is the quarterback position, anything can happen. All I hope is that we get the best quarterback out there so that we can start winning some Super Bowls. But if you enjoyed this show, you can't wait for tomorrow because there is the NFL Combine. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you know that she's a